Hello, my friends. Today I have a very interesting story. I went to a supermarket and returned with disappointment, but won the race. Race? Yes, the race of the goal. In the supermarket, a strange incident happened. I didn't expect this. A woman made fun of me, and I became uncomfortable and felt ashamed. Now, I want to tell you my story. My name is Adam Lewis. Yesterday, I went to the supermarket. I wanted to buy a variety of food items from the market, including fresh fruits like apples, bananas, and oranges, as well as vegetables such as tomatoes, onions, spinach, and carrots. I also need some protein sources like chicken, eggs, and lentils, along with dairy products like milk, cheese, and yogurt. I entered the market as usual and started looking at the price lists. I decided what I had to buy for my kitchen. I went towards the stock of fruits. There I picked fresh apples and bananas. I also picked some more apples in another shopping bag. So, I can give it to the poor one who cannot buy the fresh and juicy fruits. My parents always taught me, if you will give something beneficial to the needy, you will be also blessed. You will get help and support from others. It is a virtue. Well, I did this. As I stood in line at the checkout counter, the lady in front of me dropped her bag, and apples rolled everywhere. Instinctively, I bent down to help her. Your apples fall, I said nervously. She smiled politely, but I could tell she didn't understand me fully. I wanted to say more, maybe something like, "Here you go, let me help you," or "Don't worry, it happens to all of us." But the words just wouldn't come out. I felt embarrassed and disappointed in myself. I wanted to help her, but because of a lack of English-speaking practice, I failed to speak clearly, and I felt as if she was making fun of me. I paid my bill and left the market quickly. Honestly, I was sweating that time, and my heart was trembling. I felt ashamed, because I couldn't speak English when I knew vocabulary and some grammar rules also. After that encounter, I went home and sat quietly for a while. I didn't tell anyone about the incident that happened in the market. I thought, I live in an English-speaking country. I want to speak like them, naturally and confidently. But why did I become so confused? Suddenly, I got the answer. It was because of my lack of English-speaking practice. I always said, I will speak English when I have to, but one of the teachers said, without practice, you cannot do your task. She was true in her statement. I got this today. Now, I realize the truth, and decided to start English-speaking practice. But how? I turned on my laptop and searched YouTube for answers. That's when I came across a video titled, "Speak English Like a Native with this Read-Aloud Story Practice." It sounded simple enough. I clicked play. The video was different from the usual grammar lessons. It featured a friendly voice reading 10 unique sentences, slowly and clearly. The instructions were to listen first, then repeat each sentence aloud, copying the pronunciation, rhythm, and tone. Here, I wanted to share those 10 sentences with you, so you can try also. Time flies so quickly. She always speaks the truth. Let's meet after lunch. He forgot his wallet again. This book is really interesting. Don't worry about it. They live near the beach. Please close the window. I'm trying something new. Please subscribe my channel. I gave it a try. At first, I felt silly, repeating sentences alone in my room, but something clicked. Speaking aloud felt like exercise for my mouth. I began noticing how words connected, how the speaker used pauses and emphasis. English started to make sense, not just as rules, but as sound, feeling, and flow. I subscribed to the channel instantly. This was the place where I knew I could learn English. I regularly started to watch this channel and wrote all 10 sentences in my notebook. I started practicing those sentences in my home. The next day, I watched another video on the same channel. I picked my notebook instantly. I wrote all the sentences. Again, my friends, I want to share those 10 sentences with you. The sun was shining brightly today. I made a delicious meal for dinner. She enjoys painting in her free time. We're planning a trip next weekend. My phone battery dies quickly. They adopted a cute little puppy. I finally finished reading that book. It started raining out of nowhere. He always helps others without being asked. And the last sentence was, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with all my latest videos. And I did this. I repeated every line, again and again. At first, I was slow. My tongue stumbled. But I kept going. After 2 weeks of daily practice, something strange happened. I was in a coffee shop, and the barista, my friend, asked me, "How's your day going so far?" Without thinking, I replied, "Pretty good, thanks. And yours?" I surprised myself. The words came naturally, just like in the story. I started reading more stories aloud. I printed short dialogues and practiced both parts. I acted like I was two people. I copied the voices, the emotions, the rhythm. My friend thought I was going crazy, but I didn't care. I could feel my confidence growing. I began speaking to shopkeepers, cashiers, to my friends, to my neighbors, and strangers at the park. I wasn't perfect, but I didn't freeze anymore. Here, something is very important for you. If you are shy, people will try to make fun of you. If you think about what others will say, people will scare you more. If you lose confidence, they will laugh at you. Why are you so caring about others, but not about yourself? Think about it, please. My journey was not stopped. I continued reading and listening, then practicing and reading aloud the sentences, new words, and phrases. I became consistent. I became stubborn. I didn't leave as some people do. Now, after some years, I am as fluent in speaking English as a native. One day, I read a short story about a young woman named Sarah who wanted to open her bakery. She had some savings. This story changed my life forever. I printed this story and sent it to my friends. Today, I want to share a life-changing story with you, so that you can also take encouraging steps for your better future. Sarah always dreamed of opening her bakery. Ever since she was a little girl, she loved the smell of fresh bread and the taste of warm cookies. She used to help her grandmother bake every weekend. The kitchen was her happy place. She imagined a small shop filled with cakes, muffins, and smiling faces. But there was one big problem. Sarah didn't have much money. After finishing school, Sarah worked in a local cafe. She made coffee, served food, and cleaned tables. She saved as much as she could, but her income was low, and the savings were small. Still, she never gave up on her dream. Every night, she would write ideas in her notebook. She drew pictures of her future bakery and listed recipes she wanted to try. She told herself, "One day, I will make it happen." Sarah knew that waiting wouldn't help, so she took a small step forward. She began baking from her tiny kitchen at home. She made cupcakes, cookies, and mini tarts. She posted photos on social media and told her friends. Slowly, people started to notice her work. A few neighbors placed small orders, then some of their friends did too. Sarah was excited. Each order made her more confident. She used part of her savings to buy better tools, a new mixer, some baking trays, and a small oven. She worked long hours. Sometimes, she stayed up late just to finish an order. There were days she felt tired, but she never stopped. Her heart was full of hope. She said to herself, "I'm getting closer." One day, Sarah saw a small shop for rent near the park. It was old, a little dusty, and not very big, but when she looked inside, she smiled. She imagined the smell of fresh bread filling the air. The rent was low, and it was all she could afford. She took a deep breath and signed the papers. That was the start of her new journey. Sarah didn't hire anyone. She cleaned the place by herself. She painted the walls, cleaned the windows, and decorated the shelves with handmade signs. She even created her own logo and printed it on paper bags. Everything looked simple, but full of love. She called her bakery Sweet Start. On the first day, She baked with all her heart. She made brownies, fruit pies, and banana bread. She placed them carefully on the counter. She was nervous. Will anyone come? She wondered. But by noon, a few people stopped by. They smiled, tasted her food, and gave kind words. One customer said, "This reminds me of my grandmother's baking." That made Sarah's eyes shine. Week by week, more people came. Some brought their friends. Kids loved her chocolate muffins, and adults enjoyed her soft cinnamon rolls. She even started taking small orders for birthdays and family events. She didn't make a lot of money at first, but she made enough to pay the rent and buy more supplies. Sarah kept learning. She watched baking videos, read recipe books, and tested new flavors. Some recipes failed, but she didn't mind. "Every mistake is a lesson," she said. She tried again until she got it right. She also listened to her customers. If they wanted less sugar or more fruit, she made changes. Her goal was simple: to make people happy through her food. Months passed, and the bakery grew more popular. A local newspaper wrote a small article about her. They called her the girl who baked her way to success. Sarah was surprised and happy. More people came after that. Some even traveled from other towns just to try her baked goods. She started offering tea and coffee, and soon her shop became a cozy spot for people to relax and talk. Despite the success, Sarah stayed humble. She remembered how hard it was in the beginning. She often spoke to young people who had big dreams but little money. She told them, "Start small, but start now. Don't wait for the perfect time." Her story inspired others. She became a role model in her community. One day, a man came into the shop with a notebook. He was quiet, tasted her lemon cake, and smiled. Later, he introduced himself. He worked for a food magazine and wanted to feature her in their next issue. Sarah couldn't believe it. She laughed and said, "Me? Are you sure?" He nodded. "Yes. Your story is special. You started with almost nothing, and look at what you've built." The article brought even more attention to Sweet Start. People from different cities started calling. She began shipping her cookies and cakes to other places. She even started a small website where people could order online. Her bakery, which once had just a few customers a day, now had a line at the door every morning. But through it all, Sarah remained the same. She still greeted each customer with a smile. She still baked with love and care. She never forgot the long nights, the doubts, and the small kitchen where it all began. She kept her first mixer as a reminder, dusty, but still working. It was a symbol of her journey. Looking back, Sarah felt proud, not just because she opened a bakery, but because she didn't give up. She believed in her dream, even when the road was hard. She learned that money helps, but courage, hard work, and kindness are more powerful. In the end, Sarah's story wasn't just about baking. It was about trying, failing, learning, and growing. It was about following a dream, even when the odds were low. And most of all, it was about believing in yourself, no matter how small your start may be. No matter how low your money and sources are. If you want to do something, listen to my audience. The story of Sarah has something very important for you. It is full of meaningful words and phrases. This is all for you. Here, I want to tell you about some important and meaningful phrases used in Sarah's story are: she never gave up. Step forward. People started to notice. She stayed up late. She took a deep breath. A new journey. She baked with all her heart. Tried again. Week by week. She stayed humble. Start small, but start now. A role model. Are you sure? She couldn't believe it. Through it all, she felt proud, didn't give up. Believing in yourself. A journey from a new start to successful, unbelieving, and appreciative end. If you think about all these phrases, you will notice how Sarah didn't give up and believed in herself. She tried again and again and got success. In the same way, you can also do this and remember these phrases to achieve success. Don't give up. Don't give up. Believe in yourself because you can do it. One day, after reading this story, something truly amazing happened. I was walking to the library when I saw an old man struggling to lift a heavy bag. I walked over and said, "Let me help you with that." He smiled. "Thank you, son. Not many people stop to help these days." We started talking. His name was Mr. Patterson. He told me about his late wife, her contributions, her visits to the orphanage, and her nice behavior to neighbors. I listened and responded. We spoke for 15 minutes. When I said goodbye, he looked at me and said, "You speak English very well, my friend. Are you from London?" That compliment meant everything to me. I wasn't from London. I wasn't a native speaker, but I was getting closer. All because of a simple method. Read aloud, every day, like you mean it. I became obsessed with stories. I read bedtime stories, children's books, news articles, short dialogues. I read them aloud with passion. I recorded myself and played it back. I listened to how I sounded. I noticed my mistakes, my strong points. I corrected myself. Slowly, my accent became lighter. My sentences became smoother. I started using expressions I had never used before. Then I got an idea. What if I wrote my own story? A story filled with useful expressions and dialogues, just like the ones I had practiced. A story that others could use to practice speaking English, just like me. And that's how practice speaking with this English Read Aloud practice exercise was born. It was a simple story about how to speak English with Read Aloud technique. I uploaded it on my small YouTube channel. I read the story slowly and asked viewers to repeat after me. I added subtitles. I encouraged people to practice with me every day. To my surprise, the video gained views. Comments poured in. "This is helping me speak better. Your story made me cry and practice at the same time. Please make more." And I did. I wrote more stories. All simple. All filled with useful everyday English. All designed to be read aloud. I spoke clearly, naturally, like a friend. My goal was simple. Help people to speak English like natives. Not with magic, but with practice. The stories were more than just practice tools. They became emotional journeys. Soon, I started receiving emails from all over the world. Maria from Spain wrote, "I practice your content with my daughter. We both speak better now." Ahmed from Egypt said, "I used your videos to prepare for my job interview in English. I got the job." EMI from Japan shared, "I never spoke English before, but now I read aloud every morning. Thank you." Each message reminded me of the supermarket, the apples, the moment I couldn't say a simple sentence, and how far I had come. All because I found the courage to read aloud. I never thought a small incident in a supermarket would change my life and my English forever. It all began one rainy afternoon in Manchester. I had just moved from Poland 6 months ago, and though I had been learning English since I was a teenager, speaking it in public was still terrifying. I knew the grammar rules. I had a decent vocabulary. But when it came to speaking English fluently and naturally, I froze. My tongue felt heavy. My thoughts ran faster than my words. I sounded robotic, unsure, and not at all like the native speakers I heard around me. But now, I am a fluent English speaker. Now, I am excited and confident enough to speak English in public. This is all because of my daily practice of English. I still remember the day I met the Frenchman at a bookstore event I hosted for language learners. He walked up to me and said, in perfect English, "Thank you for your video about Sarah's bakery." That was my first story. I read it aloud every day for 2 weeks. Now I can finally speak to my colleagues in English. We hugged, 2 learners, 2 different journeys, 1 simple method. Read aloud. Today, I continue creating stories.